Welcome to Site Chat, where we dig into the psychology behind what really works at work. I'm Dr. Austin Tay, and today we are talking about something that's going to flip everything you know about leadership upside down. Picture this: it's Monday morning, and your CEO walks into the all hands meeting. The company just hit record profits, but instead of taking a victory lap, she starts by thanking the night shift custodial team for keeping the offices clean during crunch time. Then she admits she made a mistake on the quarterly forecast and explains what she learned from it. Your first thought? Either, wow, what a leader, or is she seriously apologizing right now? Here's what's wild. Depending on your answer, you might be looking at either the most effective type of leader or someone who's about to get eaten alive in the corporate world. Today, we're diving into what researchers call the humble leadership paradox and why the leaders who seem the least power hungry might actually be the most powerful of all. Let me explain this paradox. Let's imagine two scenarios. CEO number one walks into every room like he owns it, takes credit for wins, dominates meetings. Classic alpha leader, right? His team delivers results, but here's the thing: they're constantly looking for the exit. Turnover is brutal. CEO number two: she asks more questions than she answers, gives credit away like candy, admits when she doesn't know something, and her team, they walk through fire for her. Engagement scores through the roof. So, what's going on here? It turns out there's this fascinating thing called servant leadership that researcher Robert Greenleaf figured out back in the 1970s. While everyone else was studying how do you get people to do what you want, Greenleaf flipped the question. How do you serve the people you're leading? Sounds soft and fluffy, right? Now here's the kicker. It works better than the traditional approach, but not for the reasons you think. See, servant leadership isn't about a pushover. It's actually got two sides that seem like they should contradict each other, but somehow work together like magic. On one side, you've got humility. These leaders put their teams first, admit their mistakes, and don't need to be the smartest person in the room. And on the other side, they are incredibly action oriented. They hold people accountable, they empower their teams to make decisions, and they're crystal clear about the bigger purpose everyone working towards. It's like being a supportive coach who also doesn't let you skip practice. But why does this matter now? Remember the corporate scandals such as Enron and WorldCom? Yes, those were led by the I'm the smartest guy in the room types. In my consulting career, I've also witnessed many leaders who believe they know everything, but in reality, suffer from disillusionment. This is known as the Dunning-Kruger effect. Often such leaders are not very skilled at what they do, but have been promoted to their position because they know how to navigate the corporate environment. One other thing I realized is that this type of leaders is often afraid to be challenged and will resort to methods to silence their critics. So the question here is there a better form of leadership? Today, I'm going to talk about humble leadership. Let's be clear that humble leadership is not just about being nice, it's about being effective in a completely different way. Think about it. When your boss admits they don't know something, what happens? You probably respect them more, not less. When they give you credit for a win, how does that make you feel? When they are clear about what they expect from you, but also give you the freedom to figure out how to get there, you actually want to work harder for them. But, and this is when it gets really interesting, this whole humble leadership thing works differently depending on how high up the ladder you are. So let's look at this hierarchy twist. So researchers decide to investigate this further. They examined hundreds of leaders across various levels, from frontline managers to board members. And what they discovered will surprise you. Now, the first finding: humble leaders foster more engaged teams. End of story. It doesn't matter what level they are at. But here's where it gets strange. If you are a frontline manager or team lead and humility doesn't come naturally to you, no problem. You can make it up by being really strong on the action side, empowering your people, holding them accountable, giving them clear direction. Your team will still be engaged. But, and this is the big but, the higher up you go in the organization, the more humility becomes absolutely critical. Picture a frontline manager who's not particularly humble but gets stuff done. Their team might be fine with that. Now picture a CEO with the same approach. How is that going to land? The research shows that for senior executive, humility doesn't just help. It becomes the thing that makes all their other leadership skills actually work. It's like humility is the secret sauce that makes power palatable. Let me ask you something. Think about the best leader you've ever worked for. I'm willing to bet they have both sides of this equation figured out. They probably make you feel heard and valued, but they also push you to be better than you thought you could be. Now, think about the worst leader you've had. I'm guessing they are either micromanaging you to death, or they were so hands-off you felt abandoned. Or maybe they took all the credit and never gave you any responsibility. Am I right? So how does humble leadership actually look like? In practice, let me paint you some pictures. The humility side. Now remember that CEO who thanked the custodial staff? That's what we are talking about. It's seeing the whole ecosystem that makes success possible, not just your part in it. Now I remember the early part of my consulting work when I had to assess a leader based in Hong Kong. During the debrief of the assessment, he was surprised that my observations were accurate. He then shared his frustration with his team, all based in the region. Some of his frustrations included the lack of response, the lack of creativity, and the constant waiting to be told what to do. He mentioned that he knows he will always be the person to provide solution, or that the solutions offered by the team will not be satisfactory. I asked him what he would like to see changed. He said He just wanted his team to take risks, be vocal, and not be afraid to challenge him or his ideas. We then discussed how he could achieve that. Now, I suggested he review how he runs his meetings with the team, being open and asking himself what he might be missing and understanding the perspective others have and that he has overlooked. He should withhold judgments and listen. Now, another executive I know has this rule. If something goes well, he ensures that credit is given to those who deserve it. If something goes wrong, he takes responsibility first, then figures out what happened. The action side. But here's the thing. These same leaders don't mess around when it comes to performance. The same frustrated leader is crystal clear about what success looks like. He gives his people absolute decision-making authority, but also checks in regularly and isn't afraid to course correct when needed. The executive who takes responsibility, he creates systems where everyone knows what they are accountable for. No one's confused about expectations. It's not be humble or get stuff done. It's be humble and get stuff done. Now let's look at what the power paradox is. Here's what's really fascinating about all this. We have this cultural narrative that power corrupts, right? That the higher you climb, the more you need to project dominance and authority. But this research suggests the opposite. The more power you have, the more humility becomes your superpower. So think about it from your team's perspective. When someone with a lot of power chooses to be humble, it's striking. It gets attention. It builds trust in a way that humility from someone with less power might not. It's like if the person who could fire everyone chooses to ask for your opinion instead of just telling you what to do, that means something. But if someone who is already seen as less powerful acts humble, it might just confirm what people already think about their status. The paradox is that humble leadership might actually be the most sophisticated use of power there is. So how do we actually do this? Alright, so how do we actually develop this balanced approach? If you're early in your leadership journey, don't worry if humility doesn't feel natural yet. Focus on the action side. Get really good at empowering your people, setting clear expectations, and connecting their work to something meaningful. Ask yourself, am I giving my team real authority to make decisions? Do they know exactly what success looks like? Do they understand why their work matters? If you're moving up the ranks, start practicing humility before you think you need it. Because by the time you're at senior levels, it becomes make or break. Try this. Once a week, admit to your team that you don't know something. Ask for their input on the decision you're facing. Thank someone publicly for something specific they did. If you're already a senior leader, your humility isn't just nice to have. It's what makes your authority effective instead of oppressive. Here's a simple test. When you walk into a room, Do people lean in or lean back? If they're leaning back, you might be leading with authority when you should be leading with curiosity. Look, I get it. This whole humble leadership thing can be feeling very risky. What if people see it as weakness? What if competitors take advantage? What if you lose respect? But here's the thing though, the research shows the opposite happens. People don't lose respect for humble leaders, they gain it. And here's why. Humility paired with action shows confidence, not weakness. It says, I'm so secure in my abilities that I don't need to prove I'm the smartest person in the room. This isn't just about being a better boss. This is about what kind of workplace culture we are creating. When leaders model humility and action together, it gives everyone permission to do the same. People feel safer admitting mistakes, asking for help, and trying new things. But they also feel more accountable to deliver results. It creates what researchers call psychological safety, but with teeth. It's not just everyone being nice to each other, it's everyone challenge each other to be better. And in a world where innovation and adaptation are everything, that kind of culture is a massive competitive advantage. Here's what I want you to try this week. Pick one person you lead or influence. Instead of telling them what to do, ask them what they think should be done. Listen to their answer, then either go with their idea or explain why you're choosing a different path. If you don't lead anyone yet, try this with a peer or even with your boss. Instead of waiting for direction, come with a recommendation and ask for their thoughts. Notice what happens. My guess, you'll get better ideas and stronger buy-in than if you're just issued orders or waited to be told what to do. So, the humble leadership paradox isn't really a paradox at all. It just looks like one because we've been thinking about power all wrong. We think power means having all the answers. But maybe real power means asking better questions. We think authority means being the smartest person in the room. But maybe true authority means making everyone else smarter. The leaders who figure this out, they don't just get better results. They create the kind of workplace where people actually want to show up and do their best work. And in the end, isn't that what leadership is really about? Thanks for listening to Side Chat. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And I'll see you next time when we dig into another piece of workplace psychology that might just change how you think about your career. Until then, stay curious.